Hey, good morning, Tom here. It's been a few months since my last post because I've been actually busy with organizing and launching a microchurch here where I live. But I'm here today as a Christian speaking about what happened yesterday. And it was, first of all, shocking for me and complete devastation, I'm sure, as it was for the rest of you who heard the news about Charlie Kirk. And I've only seen him on YouTube and watched his debates and discussions. And Charlie was one of the good guys. He was not extreme. And first of all, he was a brother in Christ. So we come from the same worldview. And I feel that he was very confident and very forceful and spoke with conviction when he was debating. But he was always very, very gracious and friendly, and I think he represented his positions, which a lot of what I agree with, very well. And and it's I I chuckled because they could not counter him with words, so they took the coward's way out and they countered him with violence, and he paid the ultimate price. So first of all, I'm sad for his family. When I look at pictures of him and his wife and their two little kids, just a beautiful family. Then I think about his family, his parents, the sadness they must feel that he's gone at such a young age, and his daughter and son will grow up only knowing about their dad, but never actually knowing their father. So that's the first thing in my heart, and I'm sure many of you are saddened by just this void that's left and this loss that we feel about when a good person passes. You just feel the potential of the impact, influence, and he was having a good influence. He was not a grifter, a rabble rouser. He was just trying to create from what I could see in terms of the videos, just a good dialogue with people who just did not know the opposing side's point of view. And for that, it's such a big loss because he was trying to create this bridge, and he was making a difference. And I know that there's a lot of people who feel, as I do, that this is going to be a tough loss because as a Gen Xer, I look at the millennials and Gen Z, and I see that they're searching for meaning, and he gave them hope. So this loss is huge. I mean, don't get me wrong. Part of me, very humanly, is angry. How can it not be? How can we not be? Because assassinations and killing people just because they say things that you don't agree with. How does that make sense? I mean, just like with Irina and Charlotte and with Charlie yesterday, we get angry because there's this injustice and moral outrage that evil is triumphing, and to be angry in a righteous way that there needs to be justice done is the proper response. But I also see a larger perspective, and I know it's early days, and we're still in shock and processing, and many of us are angry righteously and with good reason, and many of us are sad. And this is kind of, maybe I'm a bit cynical, but this is resigned, maybe as a Gen Xer, resigned understanding that this is the way the world is, and this is the way the world is. It's full of evil, and we lost a good guy, a happy warrior who was willing to engage with those who didn't understand and didn't agree with him, and he paid the ultimate price. So right now we're in the pits, we're in the hole, and we just feel that without the tide was turning, that there could be hope, but now we're back to square one. But I do want to share this message of hope, this silver lining, and It might sound a bit cliche, but many of us who are Christians know this verse very well. And it's from Romans 8:28. So it says here, and we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. So you think, well, Charlie was a Christian, right? And is this God's purpose for him? This violent public spectacle of his death? Is this the way a loving God would want one of his own to be passed into glory? And I think Romans 8:28, we always have to look at it from a different perspective. We have to kind of pull out and look at it from God's perspective, and not react humanly. And we have to think maybe from God's perspective, Charlie's death has a purpose, and maybe his purpose was to actually, I know people are saying that he's a martyr now. Maybe his purpose was to actually plant the seeds in thousands, and I know probably millions of people who are in the Gen Z millennial generation and younger, give them this hope, this understanding. Because from an older generation perspective, we knew the world before, when it was civil, when we could actually just say things and people can just disagree with the words and walk away alive. But now this culture, society is so politicized that people don't understand that you can actually have dialogue. So maybe Charlie's purpose was, and I think it was, to really plant the seed of civility and dialogue and a friendly discussion that's been missing for so many years. And with his passing now, instead of just waiting for Charlie, this might catalyze so many people who are saddened, and this might give them a purpose to say, well, now that he's gone, this void is there. Maybe it is time for me to step into the void and to champion his cause and beyond and greater, and to continue this dialogue so that we can be united instead of using this as a time to divide us further. I know that there are many people out there right now who are champing at the bit, thinking that who are being blackpilled right now. And I can totally understand that. And as a Christian, I know that there are many who are not Christians and who don't see this world from a spiritual perspective, who think this is actually ratcheting up this call for violence to counter the left. And honestly, we live in a fallen world, and if that's the way some people go, it is what it is. We cannot stop that. But for those of us who are Christians, who are younger, who feel that maybe this is a rallying cry, a way to use his death for a larger purpose, maybe that is God's purpose. I'm just putting that out there. And then secondly, for those of us who are Christians, from our perspective in the faith, and looking at Charlie as a brother in the faith, the other passage I think is, where is it? 2 Timothy somewhere. There we go, yeah. So 2 Timothy 4:7. So for those of us who are fellow brothers and sisters in Christ with Charlie, I'll read this. And think about Charlie in terms of what he's done and what his life means. I have fought the good fight. I have finished course. I have kept the faith. So now this passage is for those who are thinking about the spiritual battle. And in a way, because Charlie was very much openly a Christian, and he put his faith out there and trying to use the values from a Christian worldview to try to change the world, I believe that this verse does apply to him, that he's run his race and it is done. And though he was 31, only 31. I mean, I didn't even get my life going until I was 35, 36. To think that he was cut down in his prime. The flip side of it, think about, it makes me feel like a complete slacker, but think about how much he has done in the short time that he is here with us. And you have to think about it. Maybe God, just like with Enoch and Elijah, said, you know what? You've done so much and you've already planted the seeds of hope and of how to actually catalyze the next generation. Just like with Enoch and Elijah, maybe God said, come on home. And yeah, now he's with him forever. So right now we are definitely in the pits of this anger, sadness, despair, and confusion. But if you can see that Charlie's life has had an impact, and his death will also have a larger impact to mobilize and twofold advance Christian values in the public realm, so that we can actually become more Christian and as a culture more loving and truly being Christ-like, then his death will have been not in vain. And then just understand this world, when you get to be in your 50s, you know that this world is not all that it's cracked up to be, and your body's breaking down, and to be in heaven is much better to be here. And now Charlie's there with God. So he is in his eternal rest, and that is a hope that we must all cling to. He's not gone, especially for those of us who are Christians. He's not gone forever. He's just gone ahead. So we'll see him again. And I will just end with this one passage for us, which is the Beatitudes, just as a remembrance that as Christians we are called to be blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So let's keep these attitudes and let's bless the world, especially a world that hates us and is violent towards us. This is our calling as Christians, and we saw a good example in the life of Charlie Kirk. And let's not let his life be in vain, and just let it be an encouragement to us. All right?